sweet. We are naturally like that, okay? And that's what they like about us, because we are just sweet, understanding, caring. It's not because we are submissive. We're not submissive. You ask my husband that, he will tell you I'm not submissive.
On February 28, 2023, YouTuber The Filipina P released this video. Passport bros and Filipinas are under attack, a response to the insults. What I'd like to do right now is press play and let's see what she had to say.
Hi folks, The Filipina P here. And several months ago, I did a video about the way some Western women were attacking and insulting men who realized the relationship game in their home countries had become totally unwinnable, causing them to look for partners in other lands. This group of men, known as the Passport Bros, have recently become the talk of the town, whether it's to degrade them or to sympathize with their mission. In my video, I wasn't nasty to the women at all, and I used humor to poke holes in their objections. But the reaction was swift and brutal, and it looks like I might have had a hand in accidentally starting an international war between Western women and us Asian women. For several months now, the accusations and insults have been flying fast and furious back and forth across the Pacific, with other Filipinas getting into the action in social media. The topic has become so hot, in fact, that just last week, I was asked for an interview by one of the largest TV networks in the Philippines. But so far, I've remained silent until now. It's one thing to attack your own men, the ones who've chosen to leave. Of course you have the right to your opinions, just as I have the right to respond with my own. But when you go insulting us Filipinas, then your accusations warrant a response. And here's my response.
So as you can see, she responded ultimately to the response from many Western women talking down on Filipino women. Now, of course, this has been going on since she even started making videos about the Passport Bros. At first, women were insulting the Passport Bros for going overseas, and there was some back and forth between the Passport Bros and some of their detractors. But then these other women who had nothing to do with the Passport Bros got dragged into it. And this is evident on this TikTok compilation here, which is from the TikTok page, Get Your Passport. Let's see what the response is from these ladies.
Why do you think so many men are traveling overseas to find wives in other countries?
Men are traveling overseas to find wives in other countries? Why? I'm right here. I'm single.
I feel like in other cultures, a lot of women are more submissive.
A lot of the men I know that go overseas to find wives are not great dudes.
It's a little bit more stricter on women, so like they can't really like do what they want to as far as going outside.
Can you be more specific?
Yeah, they're pervy.
Men are traveling overseas to countries that have less money and less education. It's because they want a woman who is dependent on them.
You think those women are ignorant slaves, or are they happy?
I think they're doing what they think they're supposed to.
Well, you. Go away. Go find your women wherever you want. If you want a woman who barely even speaks English and just has to suck your dick, go for it. That's.
Well, I'm just asking on behalf of those
emotional damage.
Go for it. That's.
Well, I'm just.
So as you can see, the detractors against these Passport Bros are not just black or just white. It's a lot of American women in general. And, you know, pretty much the formality here is that these women who live overseas, they are uneducated, they have no option in the relationship, they will do whatever that, you know, these guys tell them to, and that these women are living in almost abject poverty. And these are pretty much talking points to get guys to somehow feel bad about their choice or their decision and force them to get a real woman, which is in America. But that brings us to the topic of today's video. And I want to give a big shout out to a really good channel on YouTube. I feel that he should get way more subscribers than what he has. And that is the brother called Uncut Dating Truths. Now, he was interviewing a Dominican sister who I believe is Afro-Latina and living in New York City. And he asked her a battery of questions that I want to play the video here, and let's find out what she had to say.
Now, as far as a passport bro dating overseas, a lot of women, they also shame and say these women are uneducated, or you just going over there to find a chick that, you know, she don't have too much, education in her background. Would you be able to speak on that? You being,
Yes, because
from Dominican culture.
Okay, so a lot of people in the Caribbean are actually very highly educated. It's maybe not the same as here in America, but they're still very highly educated because, we have universities there as well. People also learn a lot of English as well there. And that's why when they come over here, it might even get a little small type of job, but they work their way up fast because they're so educated overseas. It's not the same as America because we're not the same level, but they're still highly educated over here.
Right. So a man could find a female that, like we said before, not every female over there selling their body.
No.
He could fall in love with a doctor,
He fall in love with a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, a teacher. It's unlimited what women are around there and what education level they have. It's totally unlimited. It's not some prostitute who's literally like, please save me, and then a Pretty Woman kind of movie. No, nothing like that. It's women who are actually educated, may not like the ones here in America, but they're still very educated as well.
Right, and that says a lot. And would you feel like it's some of the same thing, like, because before you said it was jealousy?
Yeah, some of it's jealousy because I've learned growing up, especially, from Caribbean culture, and we lived in an area where it was Caribbean and Southern back and forth near each other, and they didn't get along a lot because they thought like Caribbean people are like literally beneath them. Like you guys are literally beneath us. We're Southerners and we're born here in America. So you guys basically are like the scrap handler, you little scraps. You don't really are smart as us. You're not as smart. So a lot of it is jealousy. So even when I grew up in that block, when the kids play together, the kids were neutral. We're little kids, but the parents will say things like that. Well, that kid's a little Caribbean kid. They don't really know much. Don't really talk to them. But you guys are born here in America, and you're Black American, so you're a lot smarter. So even that, as a kid, you see that happening, and it was pretty sad. Like you had people who were both. One of my friends, she was Caribbean and Black American culture, so bicultural. So her was even more clashing because her mom from the South and her dad from Jamaica.
Right, so it's mostly just ignorance.
Exactly, it's not an ignorance.
Stereotypes, but you don't know what's going on. You never been in there.
No, you never been there, even spent your time there, have family from there. You cannot assume. Don't ever assume that someone's uneducated and they're prostitutes unless you actually live their life.
So the synopsis is that these women, Dominican women, or let's say Filipino women, they are uneducated. They don't have, any opportunities in their country. And while the young lady did admit that, okay, the school systems in Dominican Republic may not be what they are in America, it doesn't take away from the fact that these ladies are educated. These ladies are not just prostitutes. Many of them are doctors, lawyers, and dentists. And you have to be skilled as a physician because you see there's so many ladies going and getting successful BBLs in the DR. So they could not be that dumb if their education system, didn't have surgeons and things like that. The Dominican Republic is not the most terrible place in the world. So, that's something to be said about them. And also their education is free. And if they come to America and if they can speak English, they may not have the ability to start off at a high position, but because they're already educated and they're already smart, what do you find these women doing? They move up. And if you don't believe me, let's talk about what's going on with the Nigerian class in America. Now, at first, we would consider them to be what? Immigrants. And most people will put them at the bottom of the barrel, let's say 50, 60 years ago. But the reality is a lot of Nigerian Americans came over and they were educated, where it'd be like, the University of Lagos, University of Port Harcourt, those universities, University of Jos. So they may not have been on the United States level, but once they got back into the college education system or into the system where it'd be like a state university, a private university, when they retrained again, they were even much more intelligent and had an advantage over students. It'd be just like me going back to medical school again. I would definitely have an advantage over students because I've seen a lot of the information already. And so that would be the reason why so many Nigerian Americans moved up fast, because they already had some level of education, some level of drive, some level of high performance. And this is what a lot of American women want to leave out with referring to these ladies who live in these other countries. See, they want to put these Dominican women in a box, and try to relegate them to being, having no hope or being prostitutes. But the reality is that these ladies are more feminine in many guys' eyes. They present a better opportunity, and they have to be doing very well because foreigners who come over from these countries do very well in America once they arrive, many times beating U.S. citizens in a few years. So if that is the case, what would that say about U.S. citizens who've been there for a long time, including women? And, what will it say about them? The reality is this. These women don't want the competition. That's why they're talking down negatively on these particular ladies. And they're talking about them in a negative way, calling them stupid in so many ways, words rather, calling them dumb, saying all these atrocious things about these ladies that they can't prove. And the lady said, listen, before you say that, if you've never been there, don't talk down on these ladies. And that's actually the truth. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Drunk. Appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.